Whoa. Just like that, we are live. Hello, everybody. How you doing out there? I am I am Jeff Kravitz. Hold on. We're making sure we are locked in here. I am not sitting out. There we go. We're clicking in one thing at a time. Input, output. Everybody's Saturday. I'm Jeff Kravitz, 420 Live. Welcome to another edition of my folly, my distraction. We come to you every day to distract you from the minutiae of the day of what's going on out there in the world, and trying to keep a little bit of sanity and a little bit of levity into what's been a really serious situation all over our world. This is our wrapping up our fourth week coming to you. It's the weekend edition. I'm here in my garage. The family's going nuts in the other room, dancing to yoga and doing they're doing a whole number in there. They are just, it's been really exciting to be home this much. Not exciting, but you know what I mean. We're trying to make the best of it. I think everybody's on the same boat and trying to make the best of what's going on out there. And it's been interesting. It's really been interesting. This has unleashed a part of me that's been hiding in hibernation for years. And I guess nobody really wants to go into the family business. My dad was a radio talk show host, but here I am embracing what my dad did for years, and put food on our table. And we don't know when the next time we're all going to get together and what's going to be. But I know that we have the time now to be together. And I've been combing through the Rolodex, coming up with all kinds of exciting stuff to talk about and things to do. As we know, next week is going to be 420 in a week from Monday, and my show is called 420 Live. So to fully embrace what's going on, we're going to unleash the beast. We're going to go through the Rolodex. I'm going to pull up some of my friends. On Monday, we're going to be talking with some of my friends about CBDs and how CBDs change our lives, and it being introduced to some of the products. And a friend of mine is a scientist, a chemist, and we're going to talk about some of the chemistry behind the whole nine, how it all works, how CBD works. On Tuesday, it's going to be women in cannabis. On Wednesday, it's going to be some of the guys in the music industry talking about cannabis in the music industry. Thursday, I'm going to bring in a couple guys that have created some of the greatest strains on the planet that have been friends of mine for a long time, and just have some of the best bud. These guys, I wish I could share it with you. This stuff is absolutely phenomenal. It's next level, and legendary guys in the scene and on the vibe. So and then for the weekend, I'm still putting it together. I want to have some of my favorite stoner musicians up in the come on and stuff like that. And tomorrow, Sunday, Easter Sunday, we're going to do an Easter Sunday show. And Easter Sunday, I'm talking to the guys from Humphreys McGee. They have a new song out called Easter in Quarantine, and it's on Spotify, and you can check it out. And I'm negotiating right now. I got 3 out of 6 guys on, but I'm sure I'm working on all 6 guys and having them come on tomorrow to talk to their fans and tell them what they've been up to and how they're surviving as a band. Humphreys McGee was the band I was about to see. They were 48 hours away from playing a show here. And just as they were all about to get on a plane and come to the West Coast, they pulled the plug on it. And that would be the 12th and 13th of March. And so they're good friends of mine, and we've been working together and been friends for a long time. So I want to check in with them and see how they're doing and what's going on. So right now we're hanging out. It's a beautiful weekend. The sun's out today. You still have to keep your social distancing, keep everything in some kind of semblance order. We had a bunch of friends come by today, and it was so nice to see people. Everybody were out in the front, just spaced around, keeping the 6-foot distance and talking and sitting down. It's just nice to see other people. And a friend of mine came in and had lunch, and he sat at the other end of the dining table from me and made lunch. It's my friend Eric Newson. So it was great to be amongst other human beings. And it's really good for my single friends out there too, to be with people and to be hanging out. So we're loving it. So Keeks, will you just do me a favor and call Armando and just push that top on and see how he's doing, if he's having any difficulty getting in, because he's about due. Armando Gallo is our guest. If you guys don't know, growing up as a music fan, as a baby booming music fan, was really hard. I mean, you got your music, it was released when the band wanted you to have it. You got your music, you got any fan notifications. And if you were in anything obscure, it was even harder to get information about who was doing what. And I was a huge Genesis fan growing up, thanks to a kid in my neighborhood named Dave Russo. And Dave, we were lifeguards on the beach. He lived 2 blocks from me. And we would go out and hang out at Dave's, and Dave would force feed you Genesis. This is him now. Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's to his landline. Sorry. So Dave, you had that guy in your neighborhood that was a little bit older than you that would turn you on to music and it would make you go, oh, what's this? And Genesis was that band from Dave. He was a huge Peter Gabriel Genesis fan. And that's what we listened to in the late 70s. And he would jam it down our throat. But there was a classic book back in those days. It was called I Know What I Like. And it was impossible to get. It was out of print. They printed it out of print. And I remember buying a copy in the 90s. Here, I have a copy right here. Here's the copy that I bought off the internet. And you can see the name there, Armando Gallo. Armando is responsible for a lot of the amazing album covers that Genesis has done. And he was pretty much touring with this band from the very, very beginning. Like Gabriel in the Fox head, in the Old Man Mask during Musical Box. I mean, these are absolute golden moments with the and this book wasn't available for us. You couldn't get this. This was out of print. So in 98, he reprinted it. And then I took the book to when I knew I was going to see him at an event because I worked with him doing photography. And I was like, wait, you're that Armando Gallo? You're the guy who shot all those famous album covers, those Genesis album covers? I was like, are you kidding me? So I had brought it, this 2003, the book's 98. As soon as it came out, I bought it. In 2003, I got him to sign it for me. And I love the book. It's just amazing. But you didn't get this deep dive stuff. Now you go on Wikipedia, find out everything you need. You want to hear a band, you can hear all their music. There's really no mystery. They don't really, if something comes, it's either out or it's not out. So there's no in between. But, I'm dealing with people. Armando's, a little bit older than me, and I'm dealing with technology. So let me see if I can, where he is right now, because I don't see him on my thing. He might have forgot where he is. So let's see. I can call him here. Hello. Hey, I'm waiting for Armando. Where is he? I don't see him. So tell him to put himself back in, to take himself out and throw himself. Yeah, sign off and sign off and sign back in. Okay. All right. Yeah, I can hear myself talking. There he is. Now I see him. Thank you, Cheryl. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Armando. There he is. Yeah, I see him.
This is a great day, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend. Hey, Armando, you got to shut you have a window open with the show on it. Can you shut that off?
There he is. Yeah, I see him. This is a great day, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend. Hey, Armando, you got to shut you have a window open with the show on. This is like 2 old men dealing with technology.
Yeah, I see him. Oh, all right.
Yeah, much better. Hold on.
Oh, God. I had the Facebook on. As you can.
Yeah, I know. How are you?
Hello. Great.
You good? There it is. Good. I can hear you just fine. Armando, I was telling everybody about your history. I was giving a little bit about I Know What I Like, but the first thing I want to touch.
Yeah, you were incensing me.
I was bringing the spirit up of Armando Gallo. You're Italian. And I know that Italy has been going through the ringer right now with the virus. So I would like to start there because I know it's very serious, and I'd like to get that out of the way earlier so we can have a little bit of fun. Why don't you tell us what you know? I know you have some very good friends in Italy that are in the medical field that you can give us a little perspective and how we can handle this.
Yeah, they are trying everything to overcome this, and of course they are working at a fast pace, and and the latest I heard today is a very young technology expert is testing this amazing. They describe it like a very small piece, that can record by flying over the city. You know, they can record. They can see exactly how the virus has attacked the city. You know,
Right.
And, it was flying over Bergamo and Brescia, and it was like an apocalypse. You know, so. If this happens, you know, we're gonna be out of it. But you know, I don't want to get people excited about. But there's people out there. They're really working non-stop trying to come up with something, you know, and be able to test and be able to find a vaccine, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been really very tragic there. What I heard that there was a fashion week in the mid-February in Milan, and lots of Chinese came over because they love to replicate the fashion stuff, you know. And, and probably that's what happened in Milan, you know. Someone must have been carrying the virus, you know, and Milan got totally affected by 10,000 people died in Milan, you know, in one city. Lombardy is the region of where Milan is, which is probably 10 times the size of the county of Los Angeles, you know, and 10 million people, in fact, in Lombardy. It's the same as Los Angeles, and there were 10,000 deaths. And we're very lucky in Los Angeles. The virus has been very kind to us, you know, because fortunately we had only 250 deaths, you know, and this is amazing. Probably we're doing things right to stay home and stay away from our friends, you know, stay away from people that still, the important thing, if you stay home, you won't get it. If you go out, you will get it. So it's very, very simple. You know, I've been home with my wife for 6 weeks now because I was supposed to fly to London on the 26th of February. And the last minute I didn't go. I said, am I crazy to go in a crowded flight? You know, so I didn't go. And so I've been on voluntary isolation since the 26th of February. And so far, so good.
And well, that's what I heard happen in Italy is everybody told everybody go home. And instead of going home, they all went skiing into the beach, into the dinner, into the piazzas.
Italians are very famous to the things they are not. That if they tell you don't go there, there we go. We like little kids, you know.
Yeah.
We never like to be told what to do.
And, incredibly social people that have a whole life built around eating and drinking and seeing each other and loving each other.
And even there was some. Parliamentarian, you know, say we can't touch each other, and then they shook hands. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, all our thoughts and prayers to everybody and all your friends and family there. And you know, Italy is like, I love Italy. It's one of my favorite places to visit in the world, and the food and the people. It's just there's nothing like it. I can't wait to go back. And you know, same thing with Spain. But New York City is now topped Italy in cases, so now it's on us now to try to beat this back.
New York City is the umbilical cord of the world, you know. So everything happens there. Plus, everybody's so on top of each other, you know. And I'm surprised that it hasn't hit even worse. I think Cuomo did an amazing job, you know, to intervene before the crazy guy in Washington acted, you know?
Yes. All right. So when I was a kid growing up, Armando Gallo, that was a name I saw like Neil Preston or any of those amazing, you know, Jim Martin, any of the amazing legendary photographers on the back of every album cover. And when I moved to LA and I realized that you were the same Armando Gallo, I knew you before I knew that you were the Genesis fanatic. We were friends and working on the carpet and working different events together, and it was just it's when I put two and two together, I just realized how small the world is. And you know, the thing about Hollywood and being a music photographer is the real money's in Hollywood. It's not shooting the concerts.
In fact, you know, when I was 31, I left London and I moved to LA because I thought at 31 you had to get a real job, you know. So I left. I was writing for a rock and roll magazine in Italy, you know, and working with record companies and stuff like that. And then I came here with an Italian band called PFM, and the magazine that was coming up very strongly was Sorrisi e Canzoni, the magazine that my mom was buying, and also another 10 million housewives you were buying.
Right.
People magazine, Meet TV Guide, and they didn't have anybody in Hollywood, so I said, wow. So I just moved to LA in 1975, and I started doing both things. So I found myself covering Hollywood, as well, and I met people like, the John Wayne and Peter Fonda and Barbara Streisand, and then Scorsese, and I went on the set of New York, and there was Clarence Clement that was teaching Bob De Niro to play saxophone, and
right.
then on the DP was the guy that shot the Easy Rider. So I thought I was in heaven, and and then someone said, "We'd like to join the Hollywood Foreign Press," and I said, "Oh wow." Why? I said, I'm so busy, but then I realized I could vote for the Golden Globe, so I said, yeah. So I've been also with the Hollywood Foreign Press since 1978, 79.
Yeah. And let's talk about my favorite obsession is that Genesis band. When I was a teenager, information didn't travel like it did now. It was so hard to find photographs of somebody so obscure as Genesis. How did they come into your life?
It's very strange because we were coming through as I was becoming a rock and roll journalist and photographer, trying to learn everything because I was working as a architectural designer for Chamberlain Parking Systems, So in 1970, when Trespass was released, there's a parallel line. I got a call from a new editor in Italy, and he said, they are not using you very well. I'm the new editor, and I don't want you to write any more about the Beatles, no more about the Rolling Stone, but I give you carte blanche to write about the new bands. You have to discover all new bands. I only want to, can you write 2 articles a week, text and pictures? And I say, great, yes. And then can you also write a column of news? I was in heaven, So this was exactly the same time when Phil Collins joined the band, when Trespass came out, And of course, there was a band called Rare Bird. There was a band called Van de Graaff Generator. There was a band called King Crimson. And,
yes.
and of course, I was very good friend at the time with the Nice. And because they were managed by Tony Stratton Smith, that started this label called Charisma. And so all this band of Charisma, they were all fantastic because Tony Stratton Smith gave them a chance to go out and do whatever you want. He gave them total artistic freedom. And all this band on Charisma, they were great. And Genesis was one of them. But they were, and Anthony Phillips split up.
Right, the old drummer.
He split up. And now I know he split up because of a girl, of a lady but that's a movie, that chapter of Genesis which is still unknown. It was during the movement, during when they spent the winter in a cottage before the first record deal. Something happened there which is really a fantastic movie. Anyway, he left the band, and they thought they couldn't go on anymore because he was the major musician. In fact, the beginning of musical box is his. He used to play 12 chords, and so they got the new drummer, and they got the new guitarist, and they went on to record Nursery Crime, and that blew me away. Nursery Crime, when I put down the needle of the acetate that I got. We used to get acetates,
right?
And went brand, and you have musical box. You have there the T-shirt.
Yes,
blew me away, man. And I said, I have to go and interview this. I knew that I saw them live, but I said I wanted to find out who they were. And at the same time, a promoter in Italy booked 3 bands from Charisma for Italy. So I went to see them in a horrible place where they were rehearsing, damp place, really horrible. They had only one naked light bulb in the center. And I remember taking that picture, which is in the book, with a 30th of a second, when you stay still, you put your feet and you see, in fact, the hands of Tony Banks that kind of, you can see it's a 30th of a second, maybe even a 15th of a second. But so I was learning to take pictures, and I was learning how, at the time I started learning to push the film 1 or 2 stops. And I didn't know some you can push. What do you mean push them? So I could get those pictures of Genesis that nobody could get, which was Peter with fluorescent light on his eyes, and I was started taking picture with the 15th or the 30th of a second, and then push them 1 or 2 stop, and I started using tungsten 160, right?
Yeah,
and,
wow.
And that's when the Charisma bought my pictures. In fact, one of the pictures was the first time that I got. No, it wasn't the first time, but I got a picture of in Foxtrot, and it was without knowing. In fact, they spelled it Armando Gallo. Without the R.
Is this one yours from the Genesis Live?
No, that's all the picture in the back, uncredited.
Oh, on the back of that.
Because I was so knocked out that the record company was buying the pictures. In fact, of the first photo session that I did of Genesis, once I picked up the picture for my article, I was happy that the record company would give me $20 for the remaining 12, 15 shots.
Right.
In fact, Gail Colson, that became Peter Gabriel's manager, she said that was the best buy I ever had. But with that, they did poster. They did because the band really likes them, because I didn't let them pose. I just put them somewhere, and then when I saw,
well, how many guys were there like you that were following them around with the camera?
And there was at the beginning, no. Probably I was the first one, because on the first roll of pictures that I did of Genesis, the record company did publicity pictures. Okay,
right. But I mean, as far as live or anything like that, that's all you, right?
When they started playing live, see, they went to Italy.
Right.
The Nursery Crimes went in the charts in Italy. Then that's when I realized that my articles from London were kind of they could be very powerful, because there was no rock and roll in Italy. The radio was national radio. They would play pop music only a couple of hours in the afternoon. Was a show called Per Voi Giovani, for you young people, only 2 hours. And so later on, when I met rock stars in Italy that became big, they told me, when I was a kid, I used to go and see your weekly call from London, because we wouldn't know anything here. So and so, in fact, Genesis, when they went to Italy, they found themselves number 4 in the charts. Okay, and they found mass acceptance. They couldn't believe it, because in a way, they interviewed, I explained where they were coming from, what they were trying to do with their music, their dynamic with them, because to me, their music was very old. And when I meet them, they were young kids. They were 21. I said, how? And to me, they were back to opera, classical music. If you listen to the musical box, that 8 minutes track, there's everything there.
Right.
So when they got to Italy, they found mass acceptance. And so they thought it was all my doing. They gave me credits for that, and that's how we became friends, But because we were friends, I wouldn't bother them too much.
Right.
But I ended up translating their albums. And in Italy, Selling England by the Pound, which was only one folder, became double gatefold. And inside there was my translation of the album.
Ah.
Because I always thought, that this poetry, even, they translate books of poems, Why not doing the same thing with Bob Dylan or with Genesis or with Jethro Tull? They have great lyrics. How about translating them? So with those little things that I did, I became kind of iconic for people. Even now, I meet people and say, "Oh, I learned English by reading your translation of England by the Pound." Of course, it took me forever it was very difficult to translate the Lame Lazan on Broadway, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I spent the entire weekend. In fact, on my Facebook timeline photo, there's me and Peter Gabriel. Is exactly the weekend that I spent with him trying to understand the lyrics of the Lamb, so I could translate them for the Italian album.
Gotcha.
In the Italian album, there's some asterisk because I translate literally. Then there's an asterisk, and below there's what Peter meant by writing that.
Gotcha. So the people understood. You know, I mean, people. It's hard for people nowadays because the information travels so freely, and it's so easy to get with a word search or a music search. You can dig up the most obscure thing that you've ever seen and find it somewhere on the internet. But back in those days, Armando, you were like cutting edge. You were an astronaut. You were an explorer.
But I was doing it for myself, some friends that I had, because when I moved to London, I was 22 after my national service. I moved to London. I got my degree. I had a job. And I used to say I had 2 or 3 good friends that loved rock music, the Beatles at the time, you know. Right. So when I got to London, I used to send the albums to them and telling them who they were, what they were doing. And then when I started working for a magazine, I was still doing the same. I was going to see a concert, and I always was writing the article for the friend that couldn't come to the concert or for the friend that was left behind in Italy.
Right.
I never worked in an editorial office. I started as a foreign correspondent, and I still am a foreign correspondent. In fact, I'm not recognized as a journalist from the union in Italy, because to be a journalist in Italy, you have to work 2 years in an editorial office, then take an exam, you know.
Right. You don't need it. You don't.
Which is the most prestigious press association in the world, you know. So I'm like,
right, so we had a couple questions. My friend John Rosenfelder, he's a huge fan of yours, and he says Genesis were some of the first famous people, and before they were famous, what did they think of those Hollywood people? Did you ever introduce them to any of your celebrity friends or any of the movie stars that you knew?
No, really, they weren't. In fact, when I moved to Los Angeles, you know, they were taking the piss a little bit on me. Oh, you like to mingle with the stars, you know. They weren't, you know. Even I think that Peter himself did a song for it
was a movie.
For a movie, which was a movie.
Rabbit Proof Fence. Rabbit Proof Fence.
No. That was later on. They did a movie for. Oh God, Dante was the director of photography. The Gremlin, I think.
Oh, okay.
He did a song for that, and Spielberg was the producer, and so he came himself to, because he thought, I'm gonna meet Spielberg. Instead, he came over and he never met Spielberg, you know. And the song went out in the credits, and he thought, it was like he's thinking about Hollywood, but you know. And then he was kind of he had a bit of a betrayal, of a bit of a shock when oh God, the guy that directed The Exorcist. Oh
yeah, okay, that was Robert. Anyway, anyone can chime in with that.
Anyway, he saw Genesis playing the Roxy, and he found the stories that Peter used to tell very interesting. It was like little movies, and so he asked Peter, "I would like to write some screenplays." You know, that's when Peter thought that he could come to Hollywood and work in movies, and he left Genesis for a couple of weeks. And then
that was when they were still together at that time.
Yeah, it was just before they going into the studio to record The Lamb. And so he came back with his tail between his legs, you know, and they said, okay, and everybody were proposing what to do, and that probably he had in mind to do The Lamb for a movie before they recorded it with Genesis, you know, because he said, this is my story, and I want to write everything, all the lyrics myself, which was a little bit too much, because there was a lot, because he could never stop. One single album became a double album, and then in August that summer, in the middle of the summer, he became a father, and his wife Jill had a very, very difficult birth, you know, and so at that point, his focus, of course, was with his wife and the baby, you know, and
Right.
And that's what happened, you know, and that's we know. So when they finished the touring of the Lamb at the end of August, the end of April, beginning of May of '75, I had moved to Los Angeles,
Right.
and I met them. I said goodbye to them at the Savoy Hotel, where they got a gold album for selling England by the pound, and I told them that I was moving to Los Angeles. And Phil Collins got me on the side. He said, "Hey, I want you to hear it from me, because I don't want you to hear it from other people, but I'm getting my own band." And I thought, oh my God, he's leaving Genesis. So when we go 3 months later, I'm at the Roxy, saw a concert, I remember, and someone said, "Hey, did you hear Peter Gabriel left the band?" No, Phil Collins left the band. I thought, I know that. Phil told me 3 months ago. But that's what was happening, because Peter was going to leave the band at the end of the Lamb's tour. He already decided, you know, because in a way he forced himself to do everything. He knew that the following album he had to stay behind, you know, he had to leave the others to do. So one thing at the other, you know, and but going back to the book, you know, when I wanted to write the book when for Italy, and because I found if in Italy they were a #1 act. When I came to California, I realized in California they were a legend, you know, and so California really pushed me into writing the book. And then when Peter Gabriel, Trick of a Tale came out, and they got bigger and bigger. And then Voyage of the Acolyte of Steve Hackett came out and sold 250,000 copies only in England. And so there were, you know, when Peter came over, trying to get a publishing deal to get an advance to finance his first album, it didn't find any bites, you know. And so we are in Sunset Boulevard, maybe 2:00 in the morning. He's telling me this, you know, that he's a little bit worried because blah, blah, blah. And I'm taking the pictures of him. He's sitting on my Buick Centurion. This is 70, so probably 76, yeah. And there's a light from the back behind his head. He looked like a fucking star, you know. And I said, I have to write the book, man, because otherwise all this story is gonna be lost. They don't believe that this guy is talented. So few months later, I went to London. The band had just recorded Wind and Watering, and I told them that I wanted to write a book, and said, how are you going to start? Tony Banks said, how about you? Can we do an interview this afternoon? So I stayed with them on tour in England for the entire month of January, you know, and so the book came out that year. I even know.
And that was January, what, 78? Is that what you said?
77.
77?
Wind and Watering.
His question.
But your book came out in 77 also?
No,
or 78?
I delivered it in September 77. By that time, an English publisher approached them to write a book, and they said, oh, Armando Gallo is doing it. But I was going to do it for Italy. And I had all this interview transcribed. There was a big pack of transcription. You know, I went to the publisher, very established English publisher, with this pile of, and they thought, God, he had the book. And so I got the deal with an English publisher to write it in English. And I never studied English. I studied French at school. So these are the situation that fortune helps the audacious, you know.
Yes.
And so I had to deliver. They gave me £3,000 advance, and I had to deliver the manuscript at the end of September. It was a baby because I went to London at the beginning of January. at the end of February. At the end of September was 9 months exactly. So that book is my little baby.
It's your baby.
There you go. And, it's not this one. This is the one that I did because it
had a different name, right?
No.
The Evolution of a Rock Band, which was they put on the cover 2 feet coming out of the water. I said, what the fuck is that? So the only picture that wasn't mine was the cover.
Yeah, well, but this picture was also the cover of Seconds Out, but that's a different cover picture on the cover. That's an outtake, right?
In fact, when I shot these pictures, I knew it was the picture of was the cover of the book. But then
Armando fell.
Right. So
you okay there, Armando?
Yeah. I was in a pile of books to be great.
Yeah, I got you.
And so when the band saw that picture, they said, "This is it," And so they picked up after shooting them in June in Paris, and there were great pictures in Paris because the photo is not from the Paris concert because Phil Collins had long hair, and then on the show in London, he came with his hair short. So as a photographer, you would go
right.
Right. And they said so, and they want when they saw that picture and Phil had short hair, that was it, So for the book cover, this is interesting as a photographer, that so that picture is Genesis with a tungsten film, all right, and
right.
with daylight film, because to give them a warmer feeling,
Right.
Yeah. So
you know what? It was the hardest to get when I was a kid because it went out of print. It was long, right? And then when it went out of print, but then you reissued it in the 90s, right?
Well, it went into 5 reprints between, because of course the English publisher I had a deal with England and the Commonwealth country, so I had America free, and I realized that I had to redo it because I didn't like the way they did it. I'm talking about 1967, and there's a picture of Chester Thompson. The fuck, that's
right.
So I ended up doing it myself for America when the American publishers didn't have any idea about rock bands. In fact, if you remember, there was the first book on Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. Not Born to Run. That was something else. By Dave Marsh. It was a little paperback, and I thought that was an insult to his fans. So I believe that whoever buys the book, he wants to buy an incredible book, a book that the his hands, there's the best book he ever had in his hands, because those are the people that want to buy the book.
Just to tell the fans watching, you still have the book for sale. It's on Amazon, correct?
No, I never went to Amazon.
Never. So you're just selling them yourself?
Yep.
Yeah, because I ran out of books, and then I found 20 books in a storage locker of a friend of mine, because I left Los Angeles in 1984. I went to Italy. I started a publishing company. I published 40 books of rock bands, blah blah blah. So I did Genesis. So I was doing other things. Then I went on tour with U2, In Excess, Madonna, and
right.
Peter Gabriel. I did a book on Peter Gabriel. Oops, there you go. This is, of course, Peter Gabriel.
Right. Oh, and that shot is a famous shot too, because that was the album cover. I think I pulled that.
Yeah,
too. That was the Gabriel Plays Live, right?
Yeah. So
where is that? That is right there. So that was a famous Gabriel live. That's Gabriel's first live album, and that was off the Security tour, right?
Yeah, it was the 1982, December 82 at the Universal Amphitheater.
Yeah, I actually took a camera to that show in Philadelphia. He played the Tower Theater, and I took a camera to that show with one roll of film, and I have one picture on the Film Magic from that show of Peter Gabriel walking by us, because he would come out with the spotlights in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You'd have the spotlights. Incredible. I'm a huge Genesis fan and huge Gabriel fan. Armando was with them. How did you end up directing the U2 video? I saw that you directed the U2 video.
No, I hooked up with U2 on the Joshua Tree. That's a beautiful story. In fact, I'm trying to put a book together right now, and that's gonna be the book starts. You know, how I flew from Rome into Las Cruces, New Mexico, because I found that Joshua Tree was such an incredible spiritual journey. You know.
Yo, great album.
I still believe it's their best album. You know.
Me too. Me too. I was glad that they toured last time and did that concert. Did you see the concert, the Joshua Tree?
I shot from the lighting booth, from the lights booth.
Amazing show. Yes.
With a 600mm lens.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Our passions are so similar, and what you've done and your path and the way you've carved it and the stuff that you did for us as young fans. I know I'm not alone when I talk about how important it was for people like you to be out there, Armando. You're a legend.
The important thing, as you know, is to, when you like something, just get on a plane and go. One-way ticket, man. In fact, the book is going to be called One-Way Ticket.
One-way ticket.
One-way ticket when I went to London, you know, go. And that's when I went to even for U2. I went to Las Cruces, took the pictures, and the band said, you can shoot the entire show, but can we see the pictures? I said, great. So when I showed the picture to them at the Sunset Marquis, they loved them, you know, and Edge said, can you come and shoot the sound check? I said, oh, I thought you never asked. Because that was a dream. And then I took the 1600 Fuji film.
Yes.
3200 and shot it. I remember shooting the dark the sound check, and they came out like stills from a movie, you know, really grainy and brown. That was beautiful. And so I hooked up with them, you know, and I found myself in heaven because they were #1 with the album, #1 with the single. They were on the cover of Rolling Stone, in the cover of Time magazine, and they told me, you are the only photographer that can capture our energy on stage. And this, God, how did I get here? You know,
wow,
you get on a plane and go, man.
Something else. I mean, you've got a blessed life. It's been incredible. I'm going to hit a couple questions. My friend Alan Rosenbach, who's a very big Genesis fan, we go to see Musical Box all the time. He says, after seeing Steve Hackett perform Genesis songs on his solo tour recently, it became evident that on the original albums and live video, his guitar sounds were mixed down really low. Was this a problem that Steve had, where his guitar was underappreciated in the band?
That's why he left the band. They were mixing the album at Trident Studios. Just before I showed the picture for the Seconds Out album cover, Steve wasn't there. He just left, and he said he left the band. So what do you mean left the band? Oh, he left the band. He left yesterday. He left. Steve couldn't stand to see the mixing. Apparently, Tony Banks said he was taking the piss. You know, he was joking with it. So the guitar was buried. So he couldn't stand that anymore because there was 2 lead instruments. And
the keys and the guitar, right?
And so at that point, he didn't want to fight anymore. So he walked out, and he never came back. When I show the pictures for the album cover, if you notice, on the Seconds Out album cover, Steve Hackett is unrecognizable. You don't really see his face.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's there. Oh. He has it.
Yeah, I have it.
And in fact, I said, and another picture that I like, you know, because you see them, all 4 of them, and they said, oh, but you can see Steve. Oh, good. You left the band, you know.
That is too funny. But
anyway, Steve, the way Steve plays now, those amazing songs, you know, it's brilliant, you know, because he plays them better than Genesis used to play them at the time. But now there's a new mixing of Seconds Out, and you can hear the difference. All the guitars are up again, you know. I think they are Abbey Road mixing, you know, they just came out a year ago,
right?
And so you can see, because I can't listen to Seconds Out, you know, the mix of Seconds Out, the original mix, you know, the old one. They're not really. It's like the assassination of Steve Atkins.
Oh my God, that is absolutely classic. Well, you know, you've had a charmed life, Armando. You're a good friend of mine. I feel like we're brothers in arms, sharing great music with the people that we love the music, and so do the fans. And it's just a pleasure to know you and to be a part of your family. And
I'm very excited to be here. I'm very honored, man. And I think what you do in the afternoon is really great.
Yes, well, you know, my dad was a radio talk show host for years, so I'm going into family business.
Yeah. Let me remind people that there's some fans in Argentina. A few years ago, they contacted me. They said, we would like to transform your book into an app. It was at the time it was an app, but in a way they made an interactive book. You know, and so I gave them all the pictures and stuff, you know, and then it is an app that you can download the book in iTunes, and the pictures moves. You know, there's some recordings of from the tapes that I did in '77, like Phil Collins describing how he got the job, how he got the thing. You know, there's music. There's music from fans that became professional musicians inspired by Genesis, and I asked them to do beats, 30-second, 1-minute songs inspired by Genesis. There's a guy, Leon Alvarado, I think, from Texas, he's a drummer, and he did the opening page of Phil Collins' solo. I couldn't get Phil because he couldn't play drums anymore. Anyway,
right.
So Leon did a double drums. And it sounds exactly, you know, like Phil Collins, you know, and so there's a lot of great stuff there, great contribution. And I got the project started on Kickstarter, and I found there were amazing people like Andrew Stanton came in as Andrew Stanton that wrote Toy Story, directed Wall-E, and is a Pixar guy. He also fell in love with Genesis when he was 12, and when he saw the Seconds Out photos cover, he said he told me that's when I realized that music could be cinematic. You know,
it's true. The Genesis was an incredible cinematic band, and their lighting, they were always revolutionary in their lighting. They created the Vari lights, which are the moving lights that change colors on a cocktail napkin after one of their shows, which is a legendary story. And, you know, they've been innovative in performance, and, you know, they were just as engaging with Gabriel as without. I mean, it became a lot different thing later. Gabriel was more theatrical. I mean, when they came to LA back in the 70s, they were playing the Roxy, which is 500 seats. Yeah. And you would see Nursery Crime, and you would see
when they played the Rainbow, they used to pull the lights with ropes
to put them at the top. But you've witnessed history, you've shared it with us, and I want to thank you from the fans for all your contribution over the years. I love you and Cheryl, and I hope you guys stay safe over the next couple of weeks until we get out of this. And I look forward to seeing you.
You can check out my in my Facebook and how to get copies of the book, and also how to download the iTunes
app.
Unfortunately, I only downloaded on an iPad because
right.
You can do the book. It's not as interactive, but you still can do this.
Right. You can get the book is still for sale. You still have the book, right?
Yeah, I have maybe 40-45 copies.
Right, well, let's see.
Because they were for sale, and I kept those copies for people that would be to be a real big Genesis fan to be able to find me, contact me, and send me the money.
Anybody that wants a piece of history and you can't find Armando, if you have any trouble, you just reach out to me and I'll connect you with Armando. Thank you, Armando. Have a great day. Give my love to Cheryl. We'll talk soon.
Everybody. Happy Easter.
All right. Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Armando Gallo. I mean, this is the historians. These are the people, just like Dave Lemieux yesterday, the archivists that keep us in touch with the past so we can understand the future, and then also understand the things that make it great. You know, he's the man. You know, it's kind of like at that time he was like a Superman, and inspired just by his love for music and what he was hearing. You know, that was the stimulation, and that's the incredible thing about this, is that you're inspired by the things that cross your path. We all are, and it's what drove me to pick up a camera. I remember sneaking my camera in. I did the same thing with Gabriel that I did the same thing with Genesis. I would sneak one camera in with one roll of film and work my way up to the front of stage and bang a couple shots off. And I'd have 1 or 2 usable frames, and they're on Film Magic. I still sell them, and I shot those in the early 80s. 82, I went to see that Gabriel show, the security tour with Dave Russo, and that was an unbelievable experience. You know, I appreciate everybody out there, everybody tuning in for the past month. It's been absolutely incredible. Every day, it fuels me. It gets me through it. I know a lot of people, what am I going to do today? I feel like nothing's going on. And meanwhile, I'm working on this harder and harder every day to bring you guys some quality entertainment and to keep everybody on the same page. Coming up tomorrow, I got Humphreys McGee on. You know, we'll see how many guys show up, but it should be fun to have a bunch of guys talking. We're going to talk about their new song, Eastern Quarantine, and what they're doing stuck in with their families now. Probably the longest they've been with their families in a long time now, a month straight. Those guys are always on the road. And then next on Monday, we're going to kick off Cannabis Week, 420 week, all week long. All our guests 420 related. And, you know, we're in the industry, and for the entertainment aspect, the growing aspect, all of it. It's going to be a well-rounded show with some of my crazy resources over the years. This has been a passion of mine. Cannabis has been a passion of mine for a long time. That's why this is called the 420 show. And that's why we're all here. And you know what? It's 5:02. It's time for me to get 420. Great entertainment on tonight, all over the internet. Sofa King, check out your live streams. Donate to your favorite musicians. Keep the food on the table of the people out there. My guest on Monday, there you go, Mark Shutdown, the future of entertainment education. Mark's going to come on and talk to us about the chemistry behind CBDs. And Chewy Smith is going to be here talking about his new product line, and we're going to do an unboxing, and he's probably going to give a couple things away. I'm going to give a solo pipe away. The solo pipe away every day this week on the show. The solo pipe, one-handed for you one-handed stoners. Solo pipe. And then the other thing we're going to give away is one of these. My friends over at Old School, Heady Old School Glass, Brian Raskin, has blown a beautiful piece just for our contest. So I'm going to have some pictures of the sucker. This one's mine, so you guys can't have this one. But we're going to have some pictures up of what the piece is, and it's going to be a random contest. We found some contest generator. Kiki and I have been working on this with Brian and trying to nail it down. So we're totally fair on who gets this piece, because, you know, I would just give it to somebody where I could go use it all the time. I would be like, hey, let me give it to Bob. Yes, Paul. Tomorrow, Humphreys. We're going to do some Humphreys chatting tomorrow. We're going to have all the guys. Joel's like, do you have to play anything? I'm like, no, this is not. I don't think that would work. I mean, we could try it, but I don't think that would work. I think there'd be a little lag and hard to hear everybody. But it's going to be exciting. 420 all month, all week long next week. We're going to be bringing it to you. Everybody out there, stay safe. Take care of each other. Minimize your time outside. Social distance. But, you know, if you've been home for over a month, it's all right to go be with people and sit across from them and stuff if they've been out for a month. Just make sure your friends are honest and not lying to you. They haven't been licking handrails, because that's not a good look. Stay fed, stay hydrated. Remember, a friend of mine is in Thailand. He said on April 9th, they announced it at 5 p.m. They announced that liquor sales would stop on April 10th. Just the whole country went nuts. Oh, lights out. Oh my God, I didn't pay the electric bill. Here's the hug, everybody. Stay well out there. Stay safe. Take care of each other. And we'll see you tomorrow, 4:10 with Humphreys McGee. All right? Take care, everybody.